Hello and welcome back to the Scream Retrospective series. If you haven't checked out the first two videos, be sure to check those out. I'm going to leave links down below, as well as an info card above, so you can check out part 2 before you watch part 3. Speaking of part 3, we're going to be talking about Scream 3. This is one that is pretty divisive among fans of the Scream franchise. And although it's not my favorite in the series, I can still have fun with this movie, specifically because of Parker Posey. So sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel, and enjoy the video. Scream 3 was released just over 2 years after Scream 2, and it had a budget of $40 million, which was a huge increase over Scream 2, which had a $24 million, and Scream, which had a $15 million budget. Shortly before the production began on the film, the Columbine High School massacre occurred. In the aftermath of this incident, people began looking for a reason behind why this shooting happened. Because of that, there was an increased focus on the media in society, which included video games and film, and how it could influence young people and just the general audience. With the production of Scream 3 not yet underway, there were considerations about whether the film should be made at that time, aware of the potential negative attention that the studio would receive for moving forward. With some changes, obviously, but still the studio remained very apprehensive, and it was especially having to do with the violence and the gore. At one point in the production, the studio went as far as demanding that the film feature no blood or violence on screen, which would be a huge departure from the series. But Wes Craven directly intervened, saying that the film should either have the violence present in the film like their previous entries, or it should be called completely something else other than Scream. The Weinsteins approached Kevin Williamson in early 1999 to pursue a full script for Scream 3. However, after his incredible success after the first two Scream films and his other projects like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Kevin Williamson had become involved in multiple projects. The Weinsteins then hired Aaron Kruger, and he'd be developing the script based on Williamson's notes. Due to the increased scrutiny of violence in the media, the studio wanted to avoid as much criticism or connection to that incident as possible. Williamson's notes were largely discarded, and the studio insisted that the script should focus on the comedic elements of the series.
Here are some super trilogy rules. 1, you got a killer who's going to be superhuman. Stabbing him won't work, shooting him won't work. Basically, in the third one, you got to cryogenically freeze his head, decapitate him, or blow him up.
Instead of the film taking place in Woodsboro, they changed it over to Hollywood. Kruger commented that he felt that the character should be moving to bigger places from high school to college to the city of Hollywood. Early scripts had the character of Sidney Prescott much like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, a more action-oriented heroine. At which point, Craven would intervene and correct the script to bring the characters closer to their previous incarnations. Craven had a significant hand in developing the script for Scream 3. Neve Campbell, Courteney Cox, David Arquette, and Liev Schreiber all returned to their roles as Sidney Prescott, Gale Weathers, Dewey Riley, and Cotton Weary. Neve Campbell was only available to film her role for 20 days, which forced the script to reduce her character to a smaller role while focusing on Courteney Cox and David Arquette. Lynn McCree finally makes an appearance as Maureen Prescott in a hallucination to Sidney. Roger L. Jackson returned to voice Ghostface, and Jamie Kennedy reprised his role as Randy Meeks, appearing in a minor role in a pre-recorded video message. Most of the supporting cast were playing actors taking part in the film within a film, Stab 3. The cast included Emily Mortimer as Angelina Tyler, Parker Posey as Jennifer Jolie, Matt Kessler as Tom Prinz, Jenny McCarthy as Sarah Darling, and Dion Richmond as Tyson Fox, with Scott Foley as the film's director, Roman Bridger. Additional cast included Lance Henriksen as a film producer, John Milton, Patrick Dempsey as Detective Mark Kincaid, Patrick Warburton as bodyguard Stephen Stone, and Kelly Rutherford as Christine Hamilton. Lawrence Hecht and C.W. Morgan appeared in minor roles, reprising their characters of Sidney's father, Neil Prescott, and Hank Loomis. Nancy O'Dell appeared as an unnamed reporter. There were also several cameo appearances, which included Jay and Silent Bob, played by Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, director Roger Corman as an on-set studio executive, and Carrie Fisher as former actress Bianca Burnett.
Number 2. Anyone, including the main character, can die. This means you, Sid. I'm sorry. It's the final chapter. It could be fucking Reservoir Dogs by the time this thing is through.
Principal photography for Scream 3 began on July 6, 1999, and finished on September 29, 1999. Filming took place largely in the San Fernando Valley, MacArthur Park, Beverly Hills, the Hollywood Hills, and Silver Lake. For a scene in the film which involved Sidney being pursued by Ghostface through film set replicas of the original Scream, this scene was not originally in the script, but Craven paid to have these sets constructed. This is because he wanted to revisit the original film in some form or another. The script underwent multiple changes, and filming was conducted with pages regularly only available on the day of. If the production decided to change a scene, this meant refilming of other scenes to maintain continuity and would require further rewrites. The opening scene in particular had several alternate versions filmed. The script for the film was so in flux that the epilogue was filmed with 3 different ways that Patrick Dempsey's character would appear. One without him, one where his arm is bandaged, and one where he's unscathed. This was due to the production not knowing what his fate would be by the end of the film. In January 2000, 3 months after principal photography had been completed, the ending was refilmed. Originally, the ending had Sidney easily defeat Roman, which led into an early morning scene of police arriving and Sidney in her home. In the alternate ending, Sidney and Roman's fight scene was extended, as well as Roman shooting Sidney, seemingly to death. A major addition was the presence of the character Mark Kincaid, who had previously been absent from the finale. Production had realized after the fact that his character had simply disappeared and had no story arc. Just like Scream, Wes Craven encountered the same conflicts with the MPAA over censorship regarding violence. Craven later said in an interview that these issues had made him seriously consider leaving the horror genre. The film earned close to $35 million during its opening weekend, ranking it number 1 at the box office. It went on to make $89.1 million in the US and $72.7 million in foreign territories, with a world lifetime gross of $161.8 million, making it the second lowest financially performing film in the Scream series. The lowest, Scream 4.
Number 3. The past will come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. The past is not at rest. Any sins you think were committed in the past are about to break out and destroy you.
We are nearing the end of this Scream retrospective series. Next week, I'll be having Scream 4, which will be concluding this retrospective. If you've been enjoying these videos, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you want to support the channel and want to take it to the next level, check me out on Patreon. I have exclusive content over there. So with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week with the Scream 4 retrospective.